Joan Hale and Sally Smith for their help in researching Moses Tyler. Several years ago, Sally gave me her entire binder of notes, clippings, and publications on the Tyler family in Blackacre, which has been invaluable. Joan spent many hours online chasing Moses Tyler through western Pennsylvania, current day West Virginia, and down the Ohio River, finding many interesting rabbit holes along the way. With the help of these two friends and the wonderful collection of primary source documents about the Tyler family that I own, I began researching Moses, finding that Moses and his heirs shared an entrepreneurial spirit that shaped early Jefferson County, and it is that spirit that I highlight today. As a family group, their actions showed that they made strategic business decisions and were determined to succeed in the new Jefferson County. So, to Eileen's request, how did Moses Tyler arrive in Kentucky, and what is his Revolutionary War service? Moses's parents are Edward and Nancy Langley Tyler. They married about 1750, and their son Moses was born in 1755. Their elder son William, age 22, joined the military forces of George Rogers Clark, serving from 1777 to 1779 when he returned home. While his brother William was away, Moses married Phoebe Evans on January 31st, 1777. Also in 1777, Moses took the oath of allegiance in Monongahela County. I, Moses Tyler, do swear that I renounce and refuse all allegiance to George III, King of Great Britain, his heirs and successors, and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania as a free and independent state, and that I will not, at any time, do or cause to be done any matter or thing that will be prejudicial or injurious to the said state. And I would also that I will discover and make known to someone justice of the peace all treasons and traitors' conspiracies that I now know or hereafter shall know to be formed against this or any of the United States of America. Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, North and South Carolina, and Virginia all required oaths of allegiance of most adult men. All states had a minimum age, and in Pennsylvania, where Moses took his oath, all white males of age 18 or older were required to do so. Age 22 and newly married, Moses was probably eager to establish himself and his family. In late 1779, his father Edward decided to move his family west to the land that became Kentucky. Several events likely led to Edward's decision. His son William's return and news of military victories along the frontier, a 1779 Virginia land law that provided for the settling of land claims and the making of surveys in Kentucky, and an upcoming Pennsylvania statute to prohibit slavery, which would have affected Edward, a slaveholder. This combination of factors, each to a varying degree, contributed to Edward's decision to move west. Edward and his family left Monongahela County, Pennsylvania in spring 1780, traveling by flatboat down the Ohio River with their family members, household goods, livestock, and supplies. Some 300 flatboats were said to have traveled down the Ohio River to Kentucky in the spring of 1780, and settlers traveled in groups for protection against Native Americans. Flatboats were assembled from abundant Monongahela County timber and floated to the falls of the Ohio, where settlers would disembark and disassemble the flatboats to use the timber to begin a new home. Edward and his family arrived at the mouth of Beargrass Creek, a few miles east of Louisville, but they encountered hostile natives, so he settled in Louisville. Edward purchased 4 half-acre lots in Louisville, where in 1781 he provided supplies to George Rogers Clark's army. In 1782, he used a Virginia Treasury warrant to claim about 500 acres on Chenoweth Run, and in 1784, he acquired a tavern license. Now, according to a 1663 Virginia law, settlers could obtain lodging without charge in a private house. A special tavern license was required to charge for food and lodging. So, Edward, ever the entrepreneur, acquired that tavern license. and operated his tavern from 1784 to 1785. The tavern and a nearby grain storehouse burned, and with the threat of Native American attacks subsiding, he moved from Louisville to Jeffersontown in 1785. That same year, he patented acreage along Chenoweth Run, and his sons Moses, William, and Edward III, and his nephew Robert established farms on their own portions of land. With this example of his father as entrepreneur, Moses set out to secure his own future. He established the original homestead in the 1790s, building a small stone house, a spring house, and the double crib Appalachian log barn. In 1792, Kentucky became the nation's 15th state, and a year later, Moses Tyler received a land grant. I own the original document, and it's signed by Isaac Shelby, Kentucky's first governor. In addition, Moses operated an early still in Jefferson County. I own a whiskey permit allowing Moses to distill 90 gallons of whiskey from January 15th to March 15th, 1798. An entrepreneur indeed, with the sale of Moses's liquor undoubtedly added to his income. These and the other Tyler documents in my collection provide a fascinating snapshot of life for Moses and his family. The documents include tax receipts, invoices, and business and personal letters. From these documents, I learned that Moses and later his son Presley paid their property and revenue taxes promptly. The earliest receipt is dated 1818. The family subscribed to the Baptist Banner and the Western Pioneer newspapers. Moses and his son Presley purchased iron and barrels of flour, salt, sugar, cider, and bacon. Some of this salt was acquired to resell on commission, reinforcing the idea that Moses Tyler was an entrepreneur. And yes, Moses owned enslaved persons. Moses bought a 10-year-old slave named Ben from his father Edward, and in 1824 he hired from J. Blankenbaker a slave girl named Fanna for 6 months, promising to provide her with clothing and shoes. Census records for 1820 show that he owned 2 slaves, and in 1830 he owned 7 slaves. In 1829, Moses' son Presley bought a 20-year-old slave named Alfred from a John L. Moore. The document is witnessed by an S. Chenoweth. These enslaved persons' labor was essential to Moses's and later Presley's success as landowners and farmers in early Jefferson County. Anticipating his death, in 1834, Moses gave the following to Presley: a tract of land containing 300 acres, more or less being on the waters of Chenoweth Run, all the horses, mares, colts, cows, bulls, steers, calves, sheep, hogs, poultry, farming utensils, household and kitchen furniture, wagons, gear, and every other species of property, movable and immovable. However, Moses did not give without conditions. Presley and his heirs shall find, provide, and furnish Moses at all times sufficient and suitable diet, clothing, lodging, washing, mending, house room, fuel, fire, and attend in sickness and in health. Also, find and furnish a suitable horse and decent saddle and bridle to ride to church or to see his relations and friends, and go where he shall please, and sufficient pocket money at all times. And at death shall inter and bury in the family burial ground on the land of his brother Edward Tyler. Moses died 5 years later, and on January 28, 1839, and son Presley kept that promise, paying $20 for one coffin and trimmings on February 14th of the same year. I've referenced several times my collection of Tyler documents. Some of the most fascinating ones are the letters. A James Mickleborough writes from Independence, Missouri in 1840 to Presley Tyler, praising the fertile Missouri soil, mentioning a large Baptist congregation and its delightful preachers, and expressing hope that Presley will be his neighbor someday. Another letter written by an Abel Tyler to a John Neville in 1831 advises John that his mother is financially destitute, as a William Neville got all the money from the sale of his father's farm and horses, and was supposed to have provided for the old people, but took the money and left. Furthermore, this situation is being talked about by a granddaughter to the neighbors, and Abel wants John to let him know where William is. I've spoken about Edward and Moses Tyler, but what about the female Tylers? Any stories of Edward of Moses have vanished with him, but the Tyler documents provide some interesting and amusing insights into the lives of the Tyler women. The Tyler documents include receipts for Mrs. Presley Tyler, that's Jane Marmaduke Tyler, when she bought calico, chintz, ribbons, buttons, hooks and eyes, a shawl, a collar, and a beaded purse from a local merchant, totaling twice the bill for Moses's coffin and trimming. In August 1841, a local merchant's receipt indicates that Mrs. Sarah and Nancy Tyler, perhaps nieces, bought 3 silk handkerchiefs, later returning one of them, which proves that women have been buying and returning items for at least the past 175 years. Presley and his wife, Jane Marmaduke Tyler, had 2 children, an infant son who died of birth, and Frances Catherine, called Kate. Kate is my great-grandmother. And the Tyler document collection includes 2 letters from Kate to her maternal cousin, Laura Virginia Marmaduke. In one dated December 20th, unfortunately no year, Laura complains, "There's not much prospect of having any enjoyment in the neighborhood this Christmas. You must enjoy yourself for myself and you. I expect you look for Height one day in Christmas, and you must stay in the house when he comes. If it is a good day, you must make some better cake for Height than them you and myself made, and you will have to let Susan do it for you." Apparently, a proper young lady did not run out into the lane to greet a gentleman caller, and Susan's baking skills were superior to Kate's. Another letter, dated April 26, 1846, is addressed to 14-year-old Kate in Mount Washington, where she was attending school. Laura again tweaks Kate about Height. "I suppose you have the exquisite pleasure of seeing Cousin Height Holy Day, as your Aunt Maria told me he was setting to you like a duck to a dung pile." Now, there's a romantic simile for you. In the same letter, Laura boasts, "I think I will beat you at raising ducks this year. I have 33 and 3 eggs picked and 3 hens setting." Laura's mother writes a postscript, cautioning Kate as her niece is preparing for public examinations at the school. "I have a little caution to give you, and that is, you must not let the beaux take your attention away from your books. You are old enough now to consider the importance of an education, and I don't doubt but that your deep sense of propriety will enable you to make such progress in your studies as will fully satisfy your parents and friends. If I can, I am coming to the examination, and if you don't stand a good examination, you know your aunt will be very much mortified, so you must study hard." In the same letter, Laura predicts that she may come to the examination too, if I can find a horse that does not shake my insides out. Now, I'm not sure what happened to Kate's relationship with Height, or the public examinations, or even the duck competition, but Kate must have been a colorful character. In 1856, at age 24, she married Andrew Barnett of Greene County, Kentucky, and later settled with him in Greene County, where he was a state legislator. Known as Judge Andy, he and Kate were well matched in personality, as illustrated by this final story, a family tradition that's told by any visitor to our home that inquires about the portraits of Kate Tyler Barnett and Judge Andy Barnett, painted in 1878, that are hanging on the dining room wall. And as an aside, these portraits were painted by Nicola Marshall, the artist who designed the flag of the Confederacy. My half-brother would tell this story about Kate Barnett, tears of laughter streaming down his cheeks, no matter how many times he told it. Andrew and Kate Barnett purchased a large house on Cherokee Road in Louisville to be closer to the judge's office downtown. The property included a stable in the back, and Judge Andy must have decided this was his private place, his man cave, as it were. Kate was not allowed in the stable, as perhaps there was some rough language, gambling, horse breeding, or other vices that a woman wouldn't understand. To keep her out of the stable, Judge Andy acquired a rooster, a formidable fowl who took his role as guardian of the man cage very seriously. Every time Kate would leave the house and head to the stable, determined to discover what the judge was hiding from her, the rooster would swarm out and attack her. Kate would turn to flee, get tangled in her skirts, fall down in the dirt, and scream for help. Hassan, Hassan, she would holler, summoning Harrison, a black man who worked for the barn. Harrison would pick Miss Kate up, fill straw, and send her back to the house. Score, Rooster 1, Kate 0. This scene repeated itself many times, with the rooster always winning, and the rivalry and animosity between the two grew with each encounter. The family story goes that when the judge died in February 1910, Kate sent one of the house servants to fetch the undertaker, and she sent Harrison to kill that rooster. While Kate may not have been an entrepreneur, she inherited those Tyler characteristics of being strategic, decisive, and determined. Kate Tyler Barnett, I like your style.